welcome to CM Today's new series called In Conversation. Now, last week, our webinar on security industry, we shed light on the security guarding sector. However, technology wasn't really on our side and some really key points went amiss. But our guest today, Mr. Philip Ducker, the head of security from Farnek, has been gracious enough to rejoin us so that we can get the message out there. So thank you, Mr. Philip, for joining us.
Pleasure.
Great. So coming to the security industry, as we discussed the week before, I believe that there has been a huge line of heroes that we really haven't recognized, and they've really stepped up to the challenge that the pandemic has thrown on them. Now, in such a short span of time, their roles have changed so drastically from being just a guard at the entry to exit points to rather a lot of unique, untraditional roles that they're taking up, like, checking the temperature or ensuring that there are only certain percentage of people allowed inside facilities and etc. But the real question here, we're discussing today is how the security industry has really adapted to this new norm and how are they going to survive in this market. So my first question to you, Mr. Philip, is, what has been the impact of the pandemic across the regional security sector in particular?
Okay, so obviously, as long as the pandemic continues, there'll be many things that affect us as we move forward. Like every other industry, the security industry has been affected in many different ways. I'll certainly say, in relation to the sectors that we serve, the hardest hit has certainly been the hospitality sector and the tourism, in general. You've got no flights from the airports, you've got hotels with nobody in them, restaurants with nobody in them. The market sector there is obviously making its way back, I'm very pleased to say. Certainly retail, obviously with the malls opening up again. With the malls opening up again, you obviously have the number of people going into these that then need those additional services and need the reassurance of people there to make sure that they're safe going into them. The security industry is not particularly, how can I put it? It's not resilient. It's probably the best way I could put it. We have been affected, as have more than one security company. We're quite a large company. We're one of the biggest companies in the country. One of the problems with having a large number of manpower is that when things close down, we have a lot of retail, we have a lot of hospitality, we have a lot of guards sat around as well. We've made sure, as on behalf of Farnek, that we've developed systems that in place that where we can utilise the guards as much as is possible. I'm very proud to say on behalf of Farnek.
Great. I'm sure there have been a lot of challenges.
We have laid off not one member of staff. We have, and certainly, things like the ministerial decree that's come out has enabled us to sort of renegotiate how we go about doing things as well. It's clear that some of the larger companies have got manpower sat aside, and certainly some of the smaller companies have felt themselves in the position where they don't have the manpower if they've been affected by COVID, for example. So, there's lots of different dynamics to how things have happened. And moving forward, hopefully, we hope that the COVID dies down, we don't have a problem with it in the future, and we can go on and we can obviously go back to what we would call full manning in the nicest sense.
I mean, I'm sure the last few months there have been so many changes for the sector, and as you pointed out, I'm sure there were a lot of challenges as well, and especially now we're at the third stage of reopening of the facilities. So can you shed some light on some of the challenges that one has faced in these last few months at least?
Obviously, you have two types of challenges. Realistically, you have the manpower challenges and you have the financial challenges of this. Certainly the financial challenges are there for everybody. As I said, we've been blessed in the fact that we've managed to restructure, and there has been salary reductions in relation to sort of the office staff, myself, so on and so forth, where we've looked at it and we have done what we can to mitigate as much as possible the loss. Obviously, then we've worked with our clients extremely closely, and our clients have been wonderful in the way that they've come back with us. There's been reductions in their personnel. There's been reductions in how we develop the services. So we have reduced the number of people, yet at the same time ensured that the manpower that we have, say, in a hotel, is sufficient for that hotel if it remains either open or on a very, very reduced security perspective. The other part of it, obviously, is the logistical part of it. Logistics is, we're a major FM company, so we define our security getting to work alongside all the FM services. Now, obviously, we have some lovely contracts in the country, and we're blessed to have them. Dubai Airport, Dubai Mall, the Burj Khalifa. With those goes all the FM services, but with all those places either closing down or reducing their manpower, has seen the logistical challenges multiply exponentially in some regards. And obviously, we need to reduce the cost of the logistics that we have, whilst maintaining the quality of the services that we have. Quite frankly, clients still want their people at work on time when it comes down to it. And everything revolves around customer focus. We want to make sure that we help our customers as much as possible through this, because you want to come out this the other side, you want to have customers when it comes down to it. And all right, the customer may not always be right. It's an average. The customer's always right. But certainly you want to work with them as best as you can. And that's one of the biggest things we have managed to do ourselves. And I'm very proud to say that, certainly the clients that we have, I know for a fact appreciate what we have managed to do with them. So it's the balance of everything. And there's challenges, certainly business-wise. Yes, Farnek has been affected financially. Every other company has been affected financially. But what we've tried to do is make sure that we mitigate that as much as possible, whilst ensuring that the health, well-being, and when I say well-being, it's not just a matter of the guards have accommodation in their camps. It's making sure that they are fed if they're not working. It's making sure their actual well-being is there. But I look at it from the mental perspective as well. These people send money back home, or they need to live here. And they're obviously worried about the COVID pandemic in their own right. So, it's the mental part of it as well. I think that's something that's been missed from, I wouldn't say other companies, I think missed around the world, to be honest with you. And I think it's something that's incredibly important, because we can assure the physical side. I can make sure my guards are accommodated. I can make sure they have, health insurance. I can make sure they go to the doctors. I can make sure they get treatment straight away if they come up as COVID or with symptoms of COVID. Making sure mentally that they're okay with all this. That's something that only we can do inside from talking to people. And it's, we've had people go out, supervisors go out, managers go out. I've been to camps myself, and I've spoken to the guards and actually reassured them, because what affects them affects me at the same time. And I'm not on about losing your job. I'm on about, I have the same concerns. I have a family, and we all want to make sure that we don't get affected by this. So there's all these challenges come together in one great big thing, and it happens so quickly, to be honest with you. And I think that's the major part of it. It happened very quickly. No one was waiting for this to go. All of a sudden, it comes up and everyone gets hit. The flights are closed. You can't talk to your families properly. We've done everything we possibly can to make sure that the health and safety of our guards is sort of our priority. In the nicest sense, to all the clients out there, I would love to say you come first. But I would be irresponsible if I didn't say, no, the guards come first. Because if the guards don't come first, they don't give you the absolute quality of service you need as a client.
Absolutely true. I think that's such a key point that, not everyone looks at. It's the human element. After all, this industry is a human-centric element, and it's so important to look after both their mental and their physical well-being. But coming to my next question is towards the client side. So how can, the community or the property manager help the service provider to ensure better delivery, especially during these pressing times? This is something that we did discuss in one of our webinars over the last few weeks, and this kind of synergy that one has to create between, the property manager and service provider. So how do you think that a property manager can help a service provider like yourself?
I would always encourage feedback from any property manager. Without understanding the actual scope of services to start with, you're never going to understand what's required. But then there's the day-to-day aspect of this. The day-to-day aspect is everything. It's people at places, and things change from moment to moment. I always try to make sure, as much as possible, from sort of my supervisors and my lower management, that there is that interaction on a day-to-day basis. I need the feedback, quite frankly. I welcome the feedback. Positive, wonderful. Negative, I'll deal with it. Because if you don't tell me what's wrong, I can't fix it. And I, like everybody else, everyone, you should fix this first. You should know about this. You should know about this. Nobody can know about everything. Sure. And if you give me the information, I can learn from it as well. And I think that's the biggest thing that is missing, certainly in the security industry. People deploy guards to a site. After that, they walk away and they don't care. I want to learn from that, and I want to learn what can I do better at any site, whether it's a property managed site or a community-based site, whether it's a combination of people live there or people work there. Putting all this together and understanding actually what is required, getting the feedback, can only make the service better in the long run. To be
True. Also, another thing, a key aspect right now, now more than ever, is technology. And of course, the security industry has always been kind of using technology to their advantage. But do you think that there will be a fear now of replacing the manpower that we're talking about? And how does one create a balance between these two?
Security moves slowly. You get high-end security, and there are certainly high-end security services. And when I say high-end, I'm on about technology-wise. There are high-end security companies that use the market to their own advantage. They have that niche when it comes down to it. I have, obviously, the other security managers in the other companies, we all talk to each other when it comes down to it. Don't think we don't, because we do. And we understand where we all fit into that security market as well. Certainly, there are some companies who build their entire product around security technology. Technology is wonderful, but it has its limitations. And when you look at the actual security industry in relation to technology, somebody still has, at this point anyway, somebody still has to use that technology. So, yes, you can put in all the cameras, all the X-ray machines, thermal scanners at the moment, let's be honest, a hot topic in the shopping malls. But someone still has to be there to physically use that technology. When you look at technology moving forward as well, as I said in the last seminar, we have our smartwatch. Okay, our smartwatch is a wonderful piece of equipment, and we use it in conjunction with a number of clients. And it has geofencing, it has time attendance, and so on. We're developing as we speak, and hopefully we're going to be trialing as well in the next 2 weeks at a number of sites a brand new smartwatch technology. And it's all Farnek, homegrown and made, and applause to my IT team here, to be honest with you. They do a wonderful job. But this has much, much more. It has emergency alert systems. It has two-way radio communication in relation to like a telephone system. It has blood pressure monitoring. It has heart rate. It has heat monitoring. It has gravity detection. Have they fallen from a height? This is a wonderful piece of equipment, but it can still only be used with a guard. I think guards don't have to worry about the security suddenly taking over the whole world and people losing their job. It's not that type of industry. It's not the automotive industry where the computers came in and the robots start making the cars. That's not going to happen. The one thing, and certainly from my background, I was a police officer in the UK for a very long time. Security is more than standing somewhere. It's speaking to people. Not everyone wants to be spoken to, but you can say good morning. They might not listen to you, but at least you have the good morning. It's all about how you address people. And different places in the world address that in different ways as well. Because you walk into a 5-6-star hotel, this is Dubai, you walk into a 6-star hotel, generally the first people you see are going to be the concierge or the security guard. You walk into a shopping mall, certainly at the moment, the first person you see is a is a security guard. It's that interaction, it's making them feel confident. And I think where technology is frankly cold in some respects. People walk into a shopping mall at the moment and there's a thermal camera staring at them. It does, you might be absolutely fine, but that thing's staring at you. If there's a smiling face next to it, your stress level goes down. It's inevitable. Sure. So I don't think there's any worry for a long, long time about technology overtaking the security industry and the guards in general. It's the synergy between the two of them, to be honest with you. And that's something that, I work for Farnek, and I want to promote Farnek products, and I want to get more market share and so on. But we've come up with a wonderful piece of technology that works with the guards, and it gives certainly from a client perspective, it gives the client the ability to look at what we are doing. It can generate reports. It can give that a clear picture that this is what you've asked us to do, this is what we're delivering, and we're going further.
True. Before we get into the initiatives that Farnek has taken, would you be able to touch certain guidelines right now, what the security industry has to follow in terms of with this kind of, at this point of time, at this stage of reopening of facilities?
So it's changing on a day-by-day basis, let's be honest. As we speak today, tomorrow Abu Dhabi is pretty much in a lockdown. You
Yeah.
won't be able to go in and out.
Yeah.
The guidance is changing in relation to the commercial sector and the other sectors as well. So different people can go into shopping malls. The beaches are reopening. So there's lots of different things that come into effect. I have a 12-year-old myself. No, she hasn't been able to go to a shopping mall for some time. Given the latest directive, she can go to a shopping mall now.
Yeah.
You know? So they do change all the time. I would always emphasize, though, that look on the internet, look at the appropriate pages, Dubai Municipality, the Department of Economic Affairs, etc. Go out and actually study what you can do before you do it. I would say that really with the most amazing, please go and do this, because you do not want to find yourself in a position where you turn up somewhere and you've either wasted your time and you're turned away, or you get in trouble with the authorities, quite frankly. And as I said, I was a policeman for a long time, and I have the utmost respect for the police and all the authorities over here. But they're only doing their job, and they're implementing the law as well. And the law is there to protect us at the moment. So please look online. Please try and find out what you can and cannot do. But certainly from Farnek's perspective, all my guards have been briefed in relation to the rules and regulations of what they are expected to do, and we update them on a daily basis if there's any changes. So we really want to make sure that we have sort of the commercial sector, for instance. When you look at the hotels, etc., at the moment, it's kind of null and void still. It will come. Once the airport opens, it will come. And there'll be different screening in relation to where you can go. But certainly when you look at the shopping malls, we want to be sure that we get the facts right. Because if someone goes inside without permission and then a police officer, God forbid, stops them inside and says, "Why are you in here?" And they say, "Well, the security guard let us in because this, and this," the police officer, quite frankly, would come and find me. I would welcome him in, but I wouldn't welcome the fact that I've been told off for it. So we really need to convey a message to everybody, certainly when you start walking into a shopping mall, that the information that we have is correct. But it does change all the time. And as I said, it changes again from tomorrow. And I would make everyone aware that, from the 2nd tomorrow for a week, Abu Dhabi, unless you have a very good reason, please do not try and go there because you'll get turned away.
True. But I'm sure there's a big challenge for these guards out there, facing different kind of temperamental people trying to enter and when they cannot. And how does, what kind of brief do you give your guards at that point of time? How do they handle situations like this?
Customer service skills are always number one for me. Yes, they have to know the law. They have to know the procedures. That is a foregone conclusion, as I've just said. How a guard deals with a certain individual, I would base it on my own experience. Clearly, individuals are different all the time, and you have to treat every single one on their merits. When you look at people coming in and they're more than happy to be screened, a lot of it is, what happens if the temperature reading is too high? What do you actually do with these people? That has been left somewhat as a grey area. Now, my personal advice to these people is take it as an advisory. All right, I wouldn't want you coming in the mall, and I will stop you coming in the mall if I was the security guard. Then you get down the physical route. I think if it goes anywhere near the physical route or an argumentative route, that's the point where obviously the authorities are notified. And we live in a country where there's DID in the malls, and they're there for everyone's benefit to make sure everyone follows the rules and regulations and everyone's nice and safe. That obviously goes back to a central control room so we can pass that message straight away. And the individual can be identified and spoken to by the authorities. If it's somebody that you feel isn't particularly argumentative, but is, my temperature reading is high, okay, you advise them straight away that they need to seek some assistance in relation to your temperature is too high. Now, clearly at the moment, you will have issues in relation to people coming in, certainly to shopping malls, where it's 40 odd degrees outside. People are going to be hot to start off with. You're going to get false negative readings as well. Some people will inevitably be turned away because they are over a certain temperature. but they have no signs, no symptoms, and they may not have anything to do with COVID at all. It may just be hot, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So you've also got that problem as well. So I think you have to deal with every single person on their merits, and that's where experience as a guard, and obviously our guards come from a multitude of backgrounds. So you have people who've been security guards in this country for a long time, you have security guards that have come from abroad, you have police officers, you have military officers, we have doctors who are security guards. You know, I have got all sorts of backgrounds of people, and it's the life experience, they have. You know, my training, the statutory training that we have, is exactly the same as the statutory training everybody else has. In Farnek, we have our own training academy. So, as an FM company, we have toilets, we have washrooms, we have whole kitchens and office blocks that you can go in and you can practice. Now, obviously, that's from the FM perspective of how do you do something mechanical? How do you do some plumbing? But how do you do that in a security perspective? It is purely by talking. So you give them the practical examples and say, look, how would you deal with this? And it's the back and forth that you have in relation to the people learning and speaking to each other that gains some more experience. He may have been a wonderful police officer in his country. He may have been a good military officer. Coming over here, it's not the same. People react differently. You know, we live in a country where there are different areas you do talk to differently when it comes down to it. And you need to make them all happy, make them all feel wanted and all one at the same time, irrespective of where they come from, who they are, how much money they have. You know, I would like to think I have met kings, queens, presidents of the United States.
Mhm.
I always spoke to them in the same way. I've also met people who've come from nothing, or criminals. You speak to them politely, they'll speak to you politely back when it comes down to it. You will get the occasional people who just do not like you because you are, whether you're a police officer or a military or you're a security guard, you are in a uniform and you are a person in authority.
True.
And people will always have an issue with.
True. I would also want to touch upon now the initiatives that Farnek has taken. You did speak a bit about the smartwatch. What are the other initiatives that Farnek has taken, especially for the security sector?
So when you actually, obviously, we've spoken about the smartwatch. When you look at how we actually work as a company, so Farnek in June last year, purchased Certis, man guarding services. And we purchased that in relation to the UAE only. Certis still exists, where it's from, and in several other countries. But then we looked at what can we do to actually increase not only the profitability of the services that we have, which when it comes down to it, this is something that we want to do, but the commitment to the clients that we have, because we have lots of people who've been under Certis for 10 years plus. How do you suddenly go, hi, we're Farnek, how you doing? We're going to take over the service. A lot of it's been speaking to the clients. So we're in the process now where it's permanently ongoing, but it's not just a matter of speaking to them. It's making sure that their worries and their concerns are all met. And when you look at the things like the transportation, so Certis had its own transportation, Farnek had its own transportation. Obviously, Certis was purely security. So what we've done, we've bolted them together, and then we've gone, how can we integrate this with the FM side of the services? Clearly, that's given us a far greater cost saving, but at the same time, it's streamlined the services that we have, meaning that I can get people where I need those people as fast as is absolutely possible. And I would never give a client more guards than they require. So again, we've gone and talked to the clients and said, look, let's give a review of the services that we offer. You have 10 security guards. You only need 8. All right, it's about making money at the end of the day, but it's about also giving the best security services that is absolutely possible. Because word of mouth is everything in this business. I can do really, really well from one project, and I can have a really good client. But if nobody ever knows about it, the next client goes, sorry, never heard of you. But I've got client A going, wow, they're wonderful. They're a great service provider. So it's making sure that you keep the clients happy, because it's only by keeping the clients happy and giving them the services that, quite frankly, should come as standard. Now, this is not rocket science that we create here. It's making sure the client is served to the best of the ability that we have. And it's only by doing that that the word of mouth then does spread. Now, as I said, we get our guards from the same places other companies their guards at the same standard training. What makes us different? Okay, we can bring in the FM side of it. We can bring in green technology. We can say, look, we are the most wonderful service provider. But it's not me that needs to say I'm a wonderful service provider. It's a client saying you are a wonderful service provider, and it's merging all that together. Obviously, Farnek is a multi-award-winning FM company. We have, as I said, some amazing venues that we serve, and we're blessed to serve them. But at the same time, we need to keep the clients aware of what's going on, and we need to keep our personnel aware of what's going on. I don't want personnel to feel that they're not wanted. I don't want personnel to feel that they're not appreciated. Yeah. Do I normally go out in the middle of a pandemic to go and visit an accommodation with 400 people? Probably not. Why did I do it? Because I wanted the guards to feel that they were appreciated, that there wasn't someone just coming up and going, don't worry about the pandemic, you go to work, it's fine, nothing will happen to you. The risk is there, say, we have had guards who have tested positive. We've made sure that they have been looked at exceptionally well. And then obviously the other guards have been protected. Farnek have been very lucky in the number of actual positive cases that we've had. There are other service providers, and I feel very sorry for those service providers, I will say now, that have been hugely affected. They've had hundreds, if not in some cases, thousands of guards. Their entire accommodation has been shut down. We've been very lucky, but we've taken a lot of actual work not to get to the stage. So we have a lot of accommodations, certainly in Dubai, we have a lot of accommodations. We've split our accommodations in relation to our services. If I suddenly get COVID in one camp, it might affect 50, 60 guards. I have 20 plus accommodations. My entire service is not going to fail, quite frankly, because I've spread those guards around. So we've always tried to sort of fit that dynamic in of how we can assist the clients by making sure that we're not affected as badly.
Great. I mean, I'm sure, all of these kind of initiatives and the kind of situation that we have been put under in the last few months has definitely changed the way we've perceived the entire industry as a whole. So how have you seen this entire industry change now? And what do you think the approach towards the guarding industry will be now, post this crisis?
Good question. I like to think that the actual look of security service these days has changed. People don't just see them as someone stood on a door anymore. They see them there as someone to actually assist. As I said, when you go into a hotel, you see the concierge usually in these hotels, and you see the security guard. You go into a shopping mall, if you can't find something in a shopping mall, who do you ask? You always go up to the security guard and say, excuse me, can you tell me where X shop is, for instance? I do it all the time. Certainly if you go up to Dubai Mall, it's huge. Yeah. You're never going to
guilty.
You go and find the guard and say, and I'll be honest, whether it's a shopping mall that I cover or anybody else covers, the guards who work in security in the shopping malls are great. There is no two ways about it. They learn these places like the back of their hand, and they're welcoming and they can talk. I think the perception of security has changed. As I said, you will always have that problem with people in authority, and security wear a uniform, and wherever there's a uniform, you're always going to get people who don't like a uniform for whatever reason. I think moving forward, I hope that bond that's sort of been created, as I said, you walk into a mall and there's a camera staring at you and it's got a heat sensor on it and it's cold and it's uninviting and you're worrying, and then there's a guard sat next to it and he's smiling at you going, hello, welcome, come in. I think once the thermal scanners go, people will appreciate the security guards more. I think certainly a lot of the clients we have, as I said, they've worked very closely with us. And a lot of the clients have looked after the welfare of our guards on our behalf. I have clients who have actually accommodated the guards in their facilities. Certainly when you look at some of the community projects, all right, they don't want their guards, our guards, going back to their accommodation that we have for them. So they've gone, all right, let's take that out of the equation and let's house the guards in those accommodations that they have on site. Wonderful. I've got hotels that have done this as well. And they've literally gone, all right, we will take the guards and we will look after the guards. I've had places that have gone, we cannot pay you for X period of time, but we will make sure that the guards are paid and the guards are fed, and we will cover this expense and that expense. they're very, very minimal, but you work with them and you make sure that the guards are catered for. We go forward from here, and I see the industry bouncing back. I think it's streamlined to some extent. I think that some security companies got too big and have been very, very badly affected by this. As I said, we've been very lucky. We have a sort of a portfolio that's across all market sectors when it comes down to it. And that portfolio has allowed us not to be affected so much. So I don't have 1,000 guards in one place. I don't have 500 guards in another place. That's allowed us the ability not to be affected. Now, on a day-to-day basis, I would love the 1,000 guards in one place, and I'd love the 500 guards in another place. This is a one-off, but I think it has somewhat reset the clock. I think the security industry is very, very split in between Dubai and the rest of the country. The rest of the country, there is different legislation than there is in Dubai. Outside the country, outside of Dubai, you get maybe 60 to 70 companies. Inside Dubai, you get 600, 700 companies whose primary role is not in any way, shape or form to provide security. They might be a dry cleaners who have security guards because they have a security license. I think the level of professionalism, certainly when you look at the higher echelons of the companies, we've recently been put into the FM Awards for Best Security Provider. There's 4 companies there. So, I'm proud to say that at the moment, we are in one of the top 4 places. Who wins remains to be seen. Quite frankly, I would be over the moon if it was us. But you at least know that the quality of service and the quality of management approach as well. I would always invite anybody, any client, whoever wants to raise anything to me, speak to me, get in touch. You will get a response from me without question. And I think it's the client relationship as much as the way the guards are perceived. But I certainly see moving forward, it will be slightly more streamlined. There will be slightly fewer mega projects around, to be honest with you. But I see an increase in how guards are treated. I think they're treated better now. But technology will come. It's inevitable. But you're never going to be able to replace that human element to it. And it is, as someone said last time round, it's the boots on the ground that actually do it, to be honest with you. And it's the common sense, it's the training. As I said, we have the same statutory training as everybody else. It's statutory training, for goodness sake. What we give in addition to that makes the Farnek guards, I think, I wouldn't say better, I say different.
Great. I think on that note, we should conclude this conversation, and definitely, we look forward to a more positive outlook towards security guards. And and I'm sure that this entire situation that we've all been put under, we kind of look at all these heroes on a different light now. So thank you, Mr. Philip, for taking time out for us again. And
my pleasure.
Thank you again. But I'm sure the conversation doesn't end here. So all of you listening to this video right now, do let us know your opinions in the comments section. And if you like this video, do give us a thumbs up. So until next time, this is Megha Anthony signing off.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.